Hello to all my listeners and welcome to the Cardio Seeds podcast that is all about lifestyle medicine and provider burnout. I'm your host, Dr. Svetlana Chamoun, a double board certified preventive cardiologist, lifestyle medicine physician, and health and wellness coach from the suburbs of Philadelphia. My amazing guests include absolutely cool physicians and other healthcare providers, and all of them have unbelievable stories to tell, from incredible personal tales of survival and resilience to becoming successful entrepreneurs, to starting blue zones from scratch, and much, much more. Tune into Cardio Seeds podcast and listen to my discussion on a variety of lifestyle medicine topics. Starting a podcast was one of the best decisions I made in my life, and now we are available on every platform with a robust following from you, our listeners. Of course, none of this would be possible without Buzzsprout that let us build this podcast from scratch and launch it very, very efficiently. So, if you are dreaming about having your own podcast for the first time, Buzzsprout should be your choice. And with that, let's get started. Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to this episode of the Cardio Seeds podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Svetlana Chamoun, a double board certified lifestyle cardiologist. I'm a founder and president of Cardio Seeds, a company that provides behavioral coaching, lifestyle medicine interventions, and career pivot consulting to professionals who need burnout prevention and management. The name for today's episode is Creating and Building Your Own Pathway. And today we have an amazing guest who fits this definition more than one could expect. Dr. Navin Goyal is a physician, and above all, he is an entrepreneur. He is the CEO of Loud Capital, an early-stage venture capital and alternative investment firm. Dr. Goyal received his MD degree from the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine and trained in anesthesiology at the University of Chicago Medical Center. He subsequently pivoted away from his successful career as anesthesiologist in a large hospital and as a medical director of a community hospital to become a venture capitalist and a CEO of Loud Capital, a venture capital and investment firm. At the beginning of his entrepreneurial journey, Dr. Goyal co-founded SmileMD, a mobile healthcare company that delivered care across the United States with a focus on lower-income and rural communities. Now, as a CEO of the Loud Capital, which mission is to grow impactful companies across the globe, Dr. Goyal is still bringing his physician training to do good for people. He strives to make venture capital more purpose-driven, inclusive, and accessible. Navin is a frequent speaker at various events where he shares his story and his perspective on how physicians can impact themselves, society, and the world. This topic became the focus of his book, Physician Underdog. Dr. Goyal, welcome to the Cardio Seeds podcast. It's our pleasure and honor to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chamoun. I appreciate such a nice introduction, and I look forward to the conversation.
Dr. Goyal, I really read with lots and lots of interest your Physician Underdog book, and I kind of swallowed it right away in one evening. And I have so many questions for you, so many questions, and I've been following you for a while, your journey. So why do you feel that physicians are unfulfilled in their lives and careers?
So, first of all, I appreciate that you swallowed the book and found it helpful. It's always great as an author to hear that fulfillment. With regards to physicians and why they feel unfulfilled, I just think that as a group and community, we are intelligent people. We've proven it to ourselves. We've had to go through a lot of hoops to obtain a degree and practice medicine, whatever field you're in. We're also disciplined, can take in a lot of knowledge, learn and apply it. So we have a lot of capabilities. Mm-hmm. And so then when you take all those capabilities, ambition, intelligence, and then the most important thing is the focus on people, right?
Right.
In the world and many industries, people get lost. But when it comes to a physician, that is always the focus, and anything to help the patients in front of us. So with all those traits, we then enter let's call it the clinical career that most of us go into. There's been a lot of confinements and restrictions, perhaps just walking into a small tunnel. And that's expected of us now. Hey, this is what you're practicing. Like, Dr. Chamoun, you're a cardiologist. So, this is how you're going to practice cardiology at this either big hospital or your own practice, etc. And what happens is we're not meant to be confined. I mean, right. Human nature is we're constantly evolving. We constantly want to improve. We constantly want to reiterate. And physicians specifically, I think, have an even greater sense to do more and learn more. And I don't see that happening in the confines of clinical medicine right now. Mm-hmm. And so with that, there's a desire and a hunger to do more. And when your current career is not enabling that and encouraging that, it takes away energy and in fact, increases anxiety and increases stress and increases burnout. That's my thesis.
So I hear you. So do you think that physicians are channeled into a very stringent kind of administrative pathways, or they are just intrinsically more talented and more creative than medicine itself, or it's both?
I think it's a little bit of both. So let's go back to the cardiology example. Let's say, you're a practicing cardiologist, and let's say 5 years into your clinical practice, you've seen patterns in your patients, and you think to yourself, gosh, I'm seeing all these patients with this disease. I wish I could help influence their nutrition and lifestyle habits and environment from which they come. I only see them in the clinic, but I don't see them at home and how they're living and how they're being educated. But I would love to help influence that. Mm-hmm. And so I know that those kind of ideas pop in a lot of physicians' mind. But guess what? There's really not a way for you to maybe build that program or for you to influence that. Right. And that's where I think we feel restricted, because we now have knowledge and experience over years of seeing patients, and we want to do more. Like, I'll tell you personally, as an anesthesiologist, I practiced for 13 years in a private practice. And there was a point where I was seeing so many sick patients in the operating room. After they underwent general anesthesia, I would think to myself, I'm going to get this patient through an important part of their life. Mm-hmm. But when they leave the hospital, have I really influenced their trajectory outside of keeping them alive? Right. And I was starting to say, no, I'm not. Mm-hmm. And that took away fulfillment. Then I felt like, well, I'm just kind of on this factory line of life. I'm this one person who's just doing this one thing. instead of holistically affecting their health
Right.
and other people's health. And I feel like a lot of physicians feel that way because we are meant to start thinking more and applying what we've learned to do bigger things.
Right, exactly. That's you're kind of reciprocating my thoughts. Yeah, it's exactly why I branched into the lifestyle medicine. You are exactly reflecting my thoughts and feelings about this whole thing. So going back to the physician underdog. Why did you really write Physician Underdog, a book on empowerment and leadership?
That's a great question. And so I wrote it, and I like to tell people, number one, I was horrible at writing. I never read grown up. So I never thought I would be writing a book. But when you feel so passionate and strongly about something, who knows what can happen. And then this is a perfect example of, there's a lot of folks that always ask about my career change and the mindset shift about how I feel in general. I mean, I'm a very empowered individual. And so I didn't feel empowered before as much as I do today. And I started thinking about what were the changes and things I learned and steps that I took to become empowered. And as I was writing down thoughts and as I was sharing and speaking with so many people who kind of reach out and are curious about the story, I realized that I am just, I'm a normal person who took these steps and took the bull by the horns to learn what I needed to do. And now I have an empowered person looking in the mirror. And so I said, what can I talk about or share that perhaps can also give some insight or ways for people to empower themselves? And that's what the book's about. That's why it's so much about empowerment, because I wasn't like this before. And so I'm trying to tell the story and small steps I took that feels like a giant leap when people look at me. And so, and the end result or the end belief. So I truly, truly believe if more people were empowered, physicians and everyone else, every person is more empowered than they are this moment, then the world would really be a better place. You have people who have empowerment, which doesn't stop them from saying, I care about this, so I'm going to go do it. I want to do this, so I'm going to go do it. I want to, and there's a blockage there with a lot of people. And it's not that they don't have the capabilities, it's that they're not empowered enough.
Right.
And when you're empowered, you can make things happen. When you can make things happen, the world can become a better place. So that's why empowerment is so important to me.
Yes, absolutely. So you titled the book Physician Underdog specifically. So why did you connect those two together? You really wanted to talk about physicians, or you just specifically talked about yourself in the book as an example of a transformation of empowerment and leadership, or you addressed the book to physicians specifically?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I am a physician underdog, but I'm like many physicians. So I think physician and underdog, most people don't think those two words go together, but I think a lot of physicians, especially in 2022, understand it. There's a lot of physicians that have reached out and said, oh my gosh, that title speaks to me. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we weren't supposed to be underdogs. We were supposed to, it should be the opposite. We're
supposed to be top dogs. Yeah.
Where we have every reason not to be an underdog, and yet here we are. But the physicians are not unique. So to answer your question, this definitely should resonate with physicians, but there's a lot of people. It could be called professional underdog. It could be I'm a person and I'm an underdog, because everyone deals with adversity. Everyone deals with unmet expectations. And I think when you have unmet expectations, you are in an underdog position. And does that mean that you need to call in the underdog, mentality or position? No, it doesn't. But if you really look at why you're feeling this way, why you're feeling unfulfilled, why you're feeling like I'm not where I'm supposed to be, that is an underdog position. So I do think it starts with a position which I think is very counterintuitive to most people outside of healthcare.
Right.
But as people have been reading it, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're other professionals, or even students have been reading it, they say it's resonated with them because in the end, we all deal with scenarios that are not meeting our expectations.
Exactly. And so why do you feel that entrepreneurship is the pathway that people should be exposed to or get involved in?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I never really made a big connection with it. I can tell you that it's creative. It makes you use a lot of different parts of your mind. You're navigating a journey that has no structure, right? So for medical school and residency and to practice medicine, there's a documented and structured way for you to go forward on that. And it's not easy, but there is expectations of, hey, I need to do this to get here. With entrepreneurship, there's no roadmap. But what I think entrepreneurship does, and even entrepreneurial exercises, is to take what you dream about, what you think about, and to act on that. And what that does, I think, is it exercises empowerment. And so the people who say, I have this idea, but they never move forward, again, I think are not empowered. Well, as soon as you start thinking and bringing some confidence and capability reminders to that person, hey, you should try it out, that is an exercise of empowerment. And once again, the end result is if you are more empowered after that exercise or after that journey, whether it results in a real business or not, you have experienced empowerment and what that power can do for you.
Right. So tell me how you get started. So many physicians obviously don't think that they're cut for entrepreneurship, and maybe you have not thought it this way, right? Or they're not cut for startups, but they still feel that they have a lot more to offer to society than just simply practicing medicine. That you probably felt this way when you started your first adventure in as an entrepreneur. So what empowered you? What empowered you, and where do they start when they don't feel like, or they don't think that they will be successful? So how do you start when you feel like you're a total underdog?
Yeah, so I like to remind people to look at high school and college students.
Right.
And there's many students have started businesses and are, have businesses that exist and brands we even know about. But if there's a person in high school or a person in college that has started a company, how is it not possible for a physician to think that way? Now, they might not have as much time. They might have other responsibilities. They might have, and I understand that. But to even think that you are not capable, or it's too foreign, or it's too far away to, go down that endeavor, you need to think about who's doing it. And there's so many people who start an entrepreneurial journey, whether they're full-time doing this, whether they're a student with less knowledge and less proof to themselves, like, physicians have done already. Again, to remind physicians, you are capable, and you are extremely intelligent and ambitious. You've already proven that to yourselves and to everyone around you. That student who's in college has not proven that much to themselves. They haven't proven probably things to other people around them. But you know what it is? They're not, they don't have years of societal structure around them that makes them overthink it. They are a little bit more free like a kid. And that's what we need to do. We need to start breaking down these structures to think freely.
Well, that's absolutely true. This comparison is actually absolutely stunning when you say that, and I keep thinking about it. It just resonates in my brain, and it just hits me like a pile of rocks. But where do you actually start? Where do you get that first kick in the butt? Do you go to a coach, a life coach, to get started? Where do you get the kick when there is this stagnation in your head? Or you don't know where to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I have experience with executive coaching for myself. And one thing I'll tell people is I've learned a lot about myself. Mm-hmm. I've learned a lot about what I lean on and what I don't lean on. And that has empowered me more. So once again, anything to empower you. Some people look at it as a coach. Some people just need a supportive group of friends. Because I'll tell you, when we were starting our first venture for SmileMD, there were people around me that looked at me and said, I don't know, that sounds risky, that sounds whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was the type of person where, I need to find someone who gets it and who I don't mind being called crazy, but it'd be nice to know there's a one or two people out there that says, that's a pretty good idea, or let's do it, you should do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. So I was seeking a positive energy. And that's kind of how I work in general. And that's all I needed. So I guess in the end, every person is different. Some people might need a little bit of assistance with coaching. Some people might just need to read some books. Some people might need to listen to some podcasts. Mm-hmm. But in the end, the best thing to do is start acting. So if you have this idea or thought, start calling around people that you know, or even talking to your neighbors or talking to people on LinkedIn. Reach out and say, hey, how did you do that? I noticed that you started this. How did you start, let's say, selling this product on Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say you're an artsy person. You want to start selling something on Etsy or Amazon. Reach out to someone who's done it before and ask them what their steps were, and then act on it. Mm-hmm. And that's it. You have to act.
And you think people will share their sort of trade secrets with other people willingly? Or people are proud of their success?
You are asking the wrong people if they're not telling you how they started selling a product on Amazon. I can tell you that right now. Just keep asking other people, because there will be someone who says, oh yeah, I used to sell t-shirts, and what I did was I went to this site which helps me, do this and that. I mean, all that information, there are people out there that are willing to share. And if people say no, or I don't have time, or don't respond, then try someone else.
Right.
But there's enough people who have done enough things that can help you move forward.
Right.
And if you take no for an answer, then you need to try harder. You need to want it more, because there are people out there, and the chances are the people who said no, they probably leaned on other people as well, but they're just not willing to share, which are people you probably don't want to be around anyways.
Right. So this is a great advice. I love it. Dr. Goyal, in your book, Physician Underdog, you make a lot of stress on a woman in medicine and a woman in business in general as a quintessential underdog. With all the challenges that women face in society and professional life, how do you recommend them transform themselves from underdogs to the top dogs, to winners?
Yeah. So, and I do. I have two daughters. I have a wife that's also a physician. We've been married 17 years. And it's so interesting that, we met during residency, and I never really understood how different it was for her. When she walks into a room, the assumption of her being a nurse or an assistant.
Yes.
And I never got that. I never got that. And it really has hit me the last several years about how different women get treated in the physician world, and then in the entrepreneurial world, and the venture world in general. And since I wear different hats, especially being in the venture capital world, where women founders, the percentage is so low of getting funding, even though there's incredible companies and talent and presentations out there. Mm-hmm. It really has opened my eyes to the extra layer that women need to go through to find success. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, what they need to do is, number one, find allies and advocates. And so an ally is understanding that women and, women go through this and that truth, which is, by the way, I'm 45 years old. It probably hit me at the age of 40. So it has hit me late as a man here in 2022, but I'm here, and there are other people who understand and acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
And then advocates are take it to another level, which are acting on that truth.
Right.
And so for me, I consider myself an advocate because I'm talking about it, writing about it, sharing about it. I'm trying to befriend more women who are trying to do things and try to help them in various ways.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a woman out there who's trying to do things and you feel this, you're trying to do something where you blatantly feel this adversity, there are allies and advocates out there.
Mm-hmm.
There are other women who help women. You just need to, once again, just like I was telling you before, you need to find a group of folks who are a positive influence for you, who will open up doors, not make excuses that, hey, it's too hard because, you're a single mom and you have this full-time position and you have this and you have this. No. You need to find people who say, oh, you can do it. You've proven yourself. You can do it. Let me help you open these doors.
Right.
So it's all about finding people who will support you in what you're thinking in your brain. You're not wrong. You just need the right people.
Right. Well, this is an awesome advice, I mean, you're awesome, Dr. Goyal, So tell me.
I appreciate that. This is my life now, right? So this is my life about sharing and talking about this. And I talk to a lot of students as well. I mean, I really believe that the more people that have empowerment, the world becomes better. And I live in that world, and selfishly, I want the world to be better for myself and my family and my friends and everyone I talk to. So
speaking,
that's why I feel so passionate about it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, tell us more about the CEO job and your company now. Tell us more about the current job and the company and what you do.
Yeah. So Loud Capital is a venture capital and alternative investment firm. So, we raise capital from individuals, family offices, banks, corporations who want to invest. Number one, to make money, which is fine. That's a box, a standard that's out there. But number two, what we do is we ensure that it is impactful. So that money is making money off of companies and founders that are doing really big things like problem solving, like things that we care about in our communities, things that we feel that are, access to education, healthcare, clean water, nutrition. I mean, all these things that we know as physicians that affect the health of people, mental health, right? Mm-hmm. We invest in companies that are problem solving for that. And they're also good people, and they also employ good people. So when I talk to an individual who says, hey, I want to invest in something more conservative, or I want to invest in something a little bit more long-term and a little bit higher on the risk scale, I say, okay, well, this is what we do. We want to make you money, but just also know that this money is going towards something you care about, right? Because it'd be silly to care about something and then you invest in a company that's not honoring that. Mm-hmm. And so it's about being aligned and consistent. And so Loud Capital, that's what we truly believe in. And I tell people in the physician world, I bring my physician ethics of first do no harm and do well for people mm-hmm. into the investing space, which really doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. There's really not a moral compass in this investment world. It's really about numbers and money. Yeah. But you can make money off of solving real problems. That's the beauty of it.
I wish every investor thought along those lines.
That's what I'm working on, right? I'm trying to influence other investors, but I want to talk to more people who invest and make them money, but also let them know that it's in alignment with what them and their family care about.
Right. And so what's the future of the Loud Capital, and what's the future for Dr. Goyal?
Yeah, so, Loud Capital, right now we're headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. We have an office in Chicago mm-hmm. and an office in Raleigh. Honestly, we're getting a lot of great feedback on, we're almost 8 years old. We have, exits and acquisitions. We have a track record. So I see us growing. I see us as very relevant to today because people, just like you care about the mission and the company of products you buy now, right? Mm-hmm. People care more about investing now. They want to make money, but they also care about how that money is being made, and that the fund managers and the people running the company are good people that they want to work with. Mm-hmm. So I think the relevance of Loud Capital today as we grow is great. I think investing in impactful companies can really help solve a lot of problems we see around us. So I'm very excited for that. I want to continue to lead this company. I want to share more content. I'm going to be doing courses. I'm going to be doing, more writing. We'll see what kind of formats that's in. And I do public speaking. I want to start speaking and letting people understand that they have all the tools they need. They just need to be empowered to do a lot more impact.
Right. So if some of our listeners, let's say, want to work with you either on investments or on public speaking or on some other projects, books, etc., where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have a website, positionunderdog.com, where you could get the book, and I just launched my audiobook actually a few days ago. So there's a lot of people who say, I don't read books anymore, I just listen, but I have ways to get the book there. I have ways to contact me. I also have a list of resources of different books that I've read that I think are helpful. I also am very, very active on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. They can message me or DM me there. I also talk about entrepreneurship, leadership, and impact on LinkedIn. So those are probably two ways to connect with me for investments, for ways to learn more. I read a newsletter. I do a podcast. So I do a lot of content so people can, again, find ways to empower themselves.
This is awesome. This is great, Dr. Goyal. Well, listen, thank you so much for sharing your amazing story. We learned so much from you today. It's unbelievable. Thank you for taking your time to be on Cardio Seeds today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate what you do on the podcast.
Absolutely. And this is all for today, my listeners. I'm your host, Dr. Svetlana Chamoun, a double board certified lifestyle cardiologist and a health and wellness coach from the suburbs of Philadelphia. See you next time on Cardio Seeds. Goodbye.